In the previous video, we walked through the process of creating an item that actively monitors if a file called temp test exists. An item records information about system parameters. It fetches the information and stores them in rows in your backend database. However, the item does not tell Zabbix what kind of result we desire. Whether we actually want the file to be present or absent is a matter of triggers. So, in this section, we will define a trigger that tells Zabbix that we want the file to be there. The trigger will then fire if the file would be gone. Let's go to the web interface. As usual, you find the host configuration under Configuration and Hosts. When I click on Triggers, I see all the triggers that are defined for the Zabbix server by default. Let's go and create a new trigger. The Create Trigger button is located in the upper right corner. To create a new trigger, we have to come up with a name. The name describes the unwanted situation. For example, file/temp/test is missing. In the expression field, you can either type in the machine-readable expression in Zabbix syntax, but we can also use add to get a little help. Trigger usually checks a certain condition of an item. So we select the item we want. We have to go to the Zabbix service host group and go to the presence of temp test item. I'm selecting it. And I can now choose a function which I want to apply to it. By default, it checks whether the most recent value is equal to a certain other value. It sounds a bit complicated, but basically it means the item returns 0 if the file is gone, or 1 if the file is present. So we want to get an alert if the file is gone, so we compare the most recent value, to the value 0. So everything is right here. So this is the expression that Zabbix creates for us. We don't fill in anything else like the description or URL, we just set the severity of this trigger to warning and save the new trigger. So as you can see here, there is not yet a green check mark. Instead, when I hover the mouse over this red cross, you see that the trigger has just been added and no status update has been done so far. Zabbix is checking the triggers in the background. It might just take a moment. You can check the status of your triggers in different views. First of all, you can see the triggers on the dashboard. The last 20 issues would show that the temp file is missing. Or you could go to Monitoring Overview and see the status of the triggers in the form of a table. File temp test is missing, and you see that there is a yellow box, which means that the trigger is active. Or you could go to Monitoring and Events and see that there is a new trigger over here that the file is missing. Let's go back to the Overview table and create a file. The box is still yellow, but when I reload the page, after 10 to 20 seconds, this box should turn green. So the box is now green. As you can see, the green box is flashing, which means that recently a change to this trigger has happened. Let's remove the file again to see if the trigger is firing again. And after a few seconds, you can see that this trigger has gone back to an alert state. That concludes this video. We have defined a trigger so that Zabbix knows that the absence of the file temp test is an undesired situation. We are now one step closer to get an actual alert. In the next section, we will get to the media configuration, which enables Zabbix to send emails.